Why buy your next vehicle from Community Motors of Mason City?
Great service from 3 locations: Community in Monroe, Community Motors Westside, and Mason City Ford. 10 new franchises and hundreds of vehicles to give you more choices. Plus, Community offers an exclusive 3-3 warranty on pre-owned vehicles and 10-year, 250,000-mile warranty on new. Need more reasons why? Stop or visit CommunityAutoGroup.com.
Because nobody beats a community deal, nobody.
Well, it's 7 o'clock, and welcome everybody to the Mason City Public Library. It's May 15th, 2012, 7 a.m., regular meeting of Mason City Council. A few quick notes I want to make first. Of course, everything that happens up here at the council table, these packets that you see all these members and staff have are available right there online. You can go to MasonCity.net, your government, scroll down to Mayor and Council, and you'll see packets there. It's also actually right on the front page of MasonCity.net on the left-hand side, about 2 tabs down. So, a few quick notes. Today was a pretty neat day for Mason City. We officially changed carriers from Delta Mesaba to Great Lakes. Wonderful day for Mason City, Clear Lake, and the region. When this started, we were concerned that we may lose, flights, and in the end, we ended up gaining flights, up to 4 flights, and so that's a very, very good news for Mason City, Clear Lake, and Sarasota County. So, Microenterprise program continues to take enrollment. If you're a small business owner, you work in a small business with 9 employees or less, or $500,000 in revenue or less, please contact the John Papa Center, and they can get you started in that process. Of course, we're also running the residential tax rebate program for folks who are on the edge, potentially doing an improvement project on their house or around town. You can contact Growth Development and Planning and ask Patricia Sandahl, and they'll be able to get you moving in that process. In addition, we should thank everybody, and everybody's small, is very, very much too small, on Blue Zones. Mason City last week was awarded Blue Zones project community status. Thank you very much to all the citizens, our businesses, our staff, volunteers that commit their time and went into this project. There's a lot of work left to do, but what a great stepping stone for Mason City. 2 more congratulations, and we'll move on here real quick. Also need to go out to right in the park, City of Mason City, Chamber of Commerce, and Vision Iowa for winning and awarded the signature, the first ever and only signature project from Main Street, Iowa, which is awarded by Governor Terry Branstad. It was a great tribute by the governor for a project that took hundreds of people in this town to reach its goals. So congratulations and thank you to everyone that was involved in that. And of course, the Downtown Streetscape also won the Main Street Public Improvement Project Award, awarded by the governor. Congratulations to everyone involved in that project. Of course, City Engineer W.H.G.S. McInnes, and first and foremost, the owners and the merchants that are down there. Their patience and persistence in this project are very welcomed, and we thank you kindly as we move forward in the future. So, we will call the meeting to order. Let the record reflect that all members are present. Is there a motion and a second to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. We're going to start with a special item of business tonight. And we have Chief Platts here. This is Emergency Medical Services Week, and we have a proclamation for them, and I'll read it as follows. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, whereas the members of the Mason City Fire Department are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical service providers have traditionally served as a safety net of Americans' healthcare system. And whereas the emergency medical services team consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, dispatchers, educators, administrators, and others. Whereas the members of emergency medical service teams in Mesa City engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continue to educate to enhance their life-saving skills. And this year's theme of EMS Week is EMS, more than a job, a calling. Reflects the hard work and dedication of those serving the citizens of Mesa City daily by these highly trained individuals. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of the Mesa City Fire Department, as well as all of the other emergency medical service providers in Mason City, now therefore I, Eric Bookmeyer, Mayor of Mason City, in recognition of emergency medical service personnel who make our lives and safety their mission, their job, and their calling, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20th, 26, 2012 as Emergency Medical Services Week and encourage all within our community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Please give Chief Class a round of applause. All right. Well, we're at number 2, and we have here some very special guests. We have Kiwanians Dave Getzko and Pam Osgood, and I believe they have a presentation for Mason City Police Chief Flashbrook. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are here tonight. I'm Dave Getzko. This is Pam Osgood. We're representing Morning Mason City University Kiwanis. We meet on Friday mornings. And again, this year we would like to, let me first preface and say all of our fundraising and all our donations go towards young people and kids activities, fundraising groups, both in and outside the community. So again, this year we would like to donate 100 bicycle helmets to the Mason City Police Department. And they distribute that to their officers, and obviously when they see kids that need helmets, they run them down or pull them over or whatever. We wind up, this is a symbolic one, we're going to deliver 100 as soon as we get them all done and the stickers on them. But Chief Flashbrook, we enjoyed doing this and we hope to do it for many years. Thank you. So,
please give a round of applause. Thank you very much to your Kiwanis Club. What a great project you guys do, and it's a wonderful service to our community. Well, let's move on to number 3, North Iowa Corridor EDC 2015 Strategic Plan presentation. And we have here our very own Executive Director of North Iowa Corridor, Mr. Brent Love.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. I'm here to update you on the North Iowa Corridor's 2015 Strategic Plan, which is a plan which we released a couple of weeks ago to the public. Is the product of a exhaustive planning process by and among our board and community partners. Late in 2011, as our merger was finalizing, our board began the process of strategic planning. Immediately, it was identified that we sought a multi-year plan to inform our decision-making over an elongated arc. We identified the need for outside facilitation, issued an RFI, and ultimately Esmond and Associates out of Clear Lake was selected as our facilitator. We embarked on several intensive day and half-day planning sessions, and ultimately emerged with the plan which you've been provided a physical copy of previously, and I'm going to go through it in a summary this evening. We can go to the next slide. And the next one, excuse me. So as you'll see from the graphic, we've identified really 4 guiding tenets for regional economic growth in the corridor region. First of which being supply chain and cluster targeted attraction efforts. I'll go into each of these in more detail later. Entrepreneurial small business development, asset development, and business retention and expansion, the central component of that graphic and the central component of our strategy over the next 3 years. BRNE is the short term for it, is the process through which all of our strategy will flow and will be informed. Nothing that we do moving forward will not be touched by BRNE strategy. So if we could go to the next slide and transition through that. One more. Thank you. Not only, as many of you, as you've all heard me say many times, not only does existing business account and hold the key for more than 80% of new job growth, it holds the key to success, in our view, in every other facet of economic growth, if done well. And so, for example, and again, I'll go into more detail on this as we get to those components, but on the attraction side, the first bullet you have there, new business attraction efforts in our new plan will be intelligently designed to leverage upon contemporary, updated target industry clusters that we identify via outside research and updating. We will leverage supply chain to ensure that predominantly to ensure that the attraction leads we have not only correspondence with our community assets, financial and otherwise, but also have a commercial component to them. On asset development, current projected infrastructure and asset demands will be informed by what we feel will be rich and actionable data that will be gotten through our business retention and expansion survey, interview, and interface efforts. Entrepreneurial development efforts will leverage resources existent in the existing sector to better assist and inspire development of such enterprises. On entrepreneurialism, we feel particularly well positioned to connect the proverbial dots with respect to the existing commercial sector and that emerging entrepreneurial sector. Go to the next transition. And specific to the business retention and expansion component of the plan, because it's not only the central tenet or our strategic prism, but is also a one of the core 4 components. We're now in the midst of a total 3-year full overhaul of our existing business retention and expansion program. We've stripped everything away and are starting from bottom up. We envision this as emerging as an issue resolution driven engine focused on results and accountability with accountability measures built in not only for our board of directors but for our public partners and the public at large, so that we're able to demonstrate the impacts, the efforts, and the projects that we work on with our existing sector when disclosure permits. We'll be positioned to better inform the workforce development challenge conversation and inform better and develop better solutions. And we'll create a new headquarter call program in partnership with the local offices of our non-domiciled local companies, which are headquartered elsewhere in the country or world, and work to interface with leadership at those headquarters locations. We go to the next slide. On the attraction discipline, next transition please. We've got a number of components to it. I will go through them briefly. We've got a supply chain focus. Major projects, especially the increasing proportion of those with significant research demands, can go anywhere globally. We know that, and so we're working to ensure that the leads that we develop in the attraction sphere are actionable, have a commercial component to them, and we're able to leverage what is increasingly in the decision-making process a very supply chain leverage heavy decision-making process. We're going to be targeting, as I mentioned, we're going to be targeting cluster industry analyses. We need targets to aim at those which we provide a unique strategic advantage in North Iowa. We've done that in the past. We're going to update that. We're going to do it quicker, and we're going to do it more effectively. We're going to cross-platform our marketing strategy. We've got to be a participant in the hyper-connected world and increasingly in a really decentralized business world. We've got to micro-target our messaging not only for resource reasons, but for effectiveness reasons. And we're going to introduce a trade and industry show strategy, because at the end of the day, this is still a people-centered business, and we've got to press the flesh, if you will. Next slide, please. Transition, please. On asset development, we see that as the development not only of infrastructure at the community level, but informing your decision-making through data that we collect by our existing sector with respect to their present and future demands, but also looking at our quote-unquote product, our sites and our buildings, ensuring that we have appropriate, ready-to-go, buildable, turnkey site and building solutions in our region. That will include ultimately achieving certified shovel-ready sites on more than one site in this in our region. We'll be ultimately partnering with the Iowa Economic Development Authority to do that. Mr. Trout and I have entered into conversations to that effect on a number of occasions. In fact, we're meeting on that shortly. Virtual spec buildings, layering, over those marketing opportunities, over certified sites. And again, the asset development side of our plan gets down to having a marketable product in our region so that we can sell it. If I go to the next slide, please, and one more transition. On entrepreneurial development, we've got a couple of priorities. First and foremost is developing a formal protocol with the John Papajohn Entrepreneurial Center to ensure that our services are being provided to their clients at the appropriate times and vice versa. Secondly, we're in the out years of our plan, we'd like to develop a process by which we are identifying latent tertiary business development opportunities inside the existing sector, be that Mercy, be that a TeamQuest, where product or new service opportunities are being developed perhaps by a single person inside those companies and working toward commercialization and connecting them with the resources to do so. And we also would like to place a priority on the growth of our corridor small business revolving loan fund, which is the redeployment of our flood relief revolving loan fund, and have just awarded our first loan for that this last week. So that is a very quick run through of our strategic plan for 2015. I appreciate the opportunity. Happy to take questions, and I hope you've gotten a copy of that physical document, which gives a lot more detail, and we can get you one if you haven't.
Thank you much, Mr. Wilk. It's a lot of content in a few minutes. We appreciate it very, very kindly. Council, do you happen to have any questions for the director? Mr. Tornquist.
Hey, you talk about shifting the relationship with local business towards one focused on issue resolution, presumably issues from the perspective of that particular business and what keeps them from adding jobs or expanding or being more successful than they already are in the community.
Right.
How will you log, prioritize, and track progress against issues that come from local businesses?
We have assembled what we call our BRNE Metrics Task Force, which is a group of local business leaders and board members who are making those recommendations, generating those recommendations to our board at the present time. We understand the importance of measuring and producing information on our results. And so that's a very core component. We've created a task force specifically to develop that. I can't speak to exactly how that's going to look because that process is still in development. Quite frankly, we have not had metrics built in to our business retention and expansion strategy. And unfortunately, industry-wide in the economic development sector, metric measurement is, with a few exceptions, very rare. Normally you're looking at EDCs, which produce information on how many touch points, how many companies they talk to, and that kind of thing. That's certainly not actionable data for us. So we'll be incorporating an aggressive metrics measurement into our program that we're able to disclose internally, but also externally to our public partners.
So obviously that's going to be a living document. As issues are resolved, there's always going to be new issues that are going to work their way into the list of priorities that's currently in progress.
Yes.
As you're talking about how you build your metrics and how you communicate, it would be really nice if that living document could be available to this body on a regular basis so that, one, it's front of mind for each of us, and two, as we consider other policies and opportunities in the community that may not be seemingly directly tied to the work of economic development, maybe indirectly they are, and we can take those kind of things in consideration as we're working through the processes that we work through.
Thank you, and that's exactly what we're after in the focus on issue resolution. We see, obviously, a myriad of departments and decision makers at both cities that we serve and the county as integral parts of those solutions. You know, we can't solve anything without the appropriate partners, and so I would envision, and again, we're very flexible at this point. I would envision disclosing project or issue resolution results through the staff level and through my quarterly reports to this body, we've invested. From a resource perspective, we've invested aggressively in hardware and software specific to this discipline, business retention and expansion issue resolution, recently. And so we've got the capabilities and the tools that we've not had in the past to document, cross-reference, and make available this information.
It's a nice plan. It'll be exciting to watch it get implemented, and this is just one way we keep getting stronger. Thanks for your work.
Hey, Mr. Tornquist, anybody else down here? Mr. Q.
Thank you, Mr. Willett, and to your partners in the corridor for the work on the strategic plan. Could you talk just a little bit more about the virtual spec building, where you're at in that process? And for the general public, maybe just a little more explanation. That's something I work with on a day-to-day basis with private industry and developers, and helps them visualize instead of looking at a green field or a gray field or possibly a cornfield where they might be putting some development. But could you just explain a little bit more where you're at in that process and just some more information about that?
Yeah, certainly. You know, in the past we have had at least one in Mason City had a physical speculative building built and then marketed to the community. And for a number of reasons, resource related and also the market, it does not, in our judgment, does not appear to be at this point a workable solution to construct a physical speculative building. There's a lot of commercial real estate on the market nationally. That's an understatement. And so the concept of a virtual spec building, to get to your question, is one where we design multiple what I call turnkey design solutions for prospective clients who we don't know who they are. Same concept of a speculative building. We're able to layer that data or that building graphically upon more than one multiple greenfield site, depending on the demands with respect to infrastructure, grading, workforce, what have you, and produce that as a marketable asset or a marketable product to that client. And this is not just a picture. This is boiled down. You know, these normally are updated at the 6-month level, boiled down to a cost estimate, boiled down to construction timelines, workable contractors, and numerous other factors, so that we're able to provide to them a speculative building without having invested the capital on the front end, without knowing exactly what those demands are going to be, because regardless of the clients, things are going to change. Eave height, water demands, what have you, power demands. And so this gives us the flexibility to create a customized solution for a client, but at the same time allows us to play in a prospective attraction market where decisions are being made in the 30 to 60 day window, where in the past they were made in the 6 to 8 month window. I have a very quick anecdote. I was speaking to a site selector at a conference 2 weeks ago who said something, made me approach him. It's a large firm, but his firm has recently invested in a very aggressive GIS system package to inform their decision making, which has made their pre-qualification efforts, which normally in their business require 30 days to pre-qualify communities. This is before we know that we're being looked at as pre-qualification. They used to do that in 30 days. With their new technology and the number of other resources, they're doing that in a day and a half. And so, and that's across the board. And so, we've got to create an enormous amount more nimbleness than we have now in our region to provide solutions immediately. And that speaks to certified sites as well as these turnkey virtual spec buildings. So working with the resources that we have, but addressing the market that we're dealing with.
I appreciate that, and I was glad to see that as part of the plan. It's very forward-thinking. It's just at times when I get out in the public, there's times people ask me to explain some of the lingo and jargon that we all get used to in government and quasi-governmental positions, and some of the acronym alphabet soup. So just wanted to explain that a little better for the general public. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kuhn. Somebody else down here? I have one quick question, or maybe I'll let you kind of explain the post. We were at a conference here recently, and we had one of the top site selectors in the country talk to us, and to not probably much to many people's surprise, the site selector said that the #1 quality that is pitched is quality of life, but that's the last one that they particularly look at. Could you go down and talk and give the public an idea of what these site selectors business retention and expansion comes from within. Site selectors come from outside. Could you give them an idea of what those top few qualifications are that site selectors are looking at, and you're attempting to differentiate Mason City clearly from the county with?
Well, of course, it'd be no surprise to say that every project's different, but in a sort of an aggregate sense, taxes, workforce, utility rates, suitability of site and building, and cost of entry, speed to permit. Every RFI that we see inquires about fast track permitting. And at that point, I would say that's probably the first tier of a majority of projects, that those are the primary demands that you've got to produce to have any shot at all. While, again, quality of life, quality schools, entertainment opportunities, livability, safety are critically important in the third and fourth phase of decision making. But on the front end, when we're interfacing with site selectors, before we're interfacing with companies, we're talking about numbers, and it's primarily almost a purely financial decision. And so when we look at that in our attraction strategy, ways that we're able to address on the front end those challenges and produce competitive results and products, we seek to do that. That gets to the certified shovel-ready site. That's the idea there is the elimination or the near elimination of threats to the development on that building. It's a seal of approval to eliminate a lot of due diligence that in the past we were able to do. We were able to show a cornfield and say, this could be your building someday. It's just not the it's not the market that we live in now, and so that's why we're being so aggressive about these priorities.
Have you heard anything more about certified workforces, whether it's through NIAC and then public schools, since our last meeting on that?
There's one effort in particular called the Work Keys program, which is a program administered by a number of organizations, including Iowa Workforce and NIAC. That's a program that our Regional Economic Development Alliance, North Central Iowa, has engaged in. We'd like to be able to roll out that certified worker program. It's a resource issue. We exhausted the available resources very quickly. It was a popular program for a short period of time, and now we're seeking the resources to roll that out on a larger stage. But you're seeing pockets of that, even in Iowa, in the Oskaloosa, Pella area. They're doing an initiative there. So that's a workforce initiative that has some real capability. It's a resource.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody else have any questions, comments, follow-up? All right. Well, thank you very much for being here, Mr. Willett. We appreciate it very much. Leadership has been very crucial. As most people know, we wrapped up under your leadership the one corridor agreement with the county and Clear Lake and that body, their council, and then of course all three supervisors. So we very much, as a council and myself, appreciate the leadership and effort that you put in. And thank your board as well.
Will do. Thanks for the opportunity.
Well, now's the time for public forum. Oh yeah, let's do quarterly report first. Kara Barrett. We have a quarterly report, Main Street, Mason City, and Kara Barrett is here to present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Trout, and Council. My name is Kara Barrett. I am the Vice President of the Board for Main Street, Mason City. I am presenting this quarterly report for February, March, and April 2012 in the interest of demonstrating that Main Street is a volunteer-driven, community-oriented organization, and that we invite the entire community to join in the effort to promote, preserve, and enhance our beautiful downtown. During the past 3 months, the downtown has continued solid growth. During this quarter, we saw 3 large-scale building renovations come to completion, with several other small projects completed in the design category, and several more of all sizes underway. We also saw 5 new businesses open downtown. However, with the relocation of the City Parks and Recreation Office and Visit Mason City, we saw a net 0 growth in jobs. Internally, Main Street Mason City has been very active. In February, we completed Val and Wine, our largest fundraiser to date. We are also deep into planning a multitude of events for this summer, including an expanded Friday Night Live concert series starting June 15th, expanded Mason City Market, which starts June 9th, and several new events, including a party on the plaza, also starting on June 9th. We have been very busy working with our facade grant program. Berglund and Cram have been selected as architects and will present to the Historic Preservation Committee on Thursday, from which their designs will go to the State Historic Preservation Office for approval. We hope to begin construction as soon as possible after that review period, which has us starting in mid to late July. The fact that we are one of the first organizations to utilize the CDBG funding in this manner, as well as a large number of property owners, has caused some delay. However, we are very satisfied with the work so far. Other projects include updating our walking tour, helping several new businesses open their doors, and participating in preparations for the International Frank Lloyd Wright Conservancy meeting in October. And our hard work here in Mason City has not yet gone unnoticed. On top of many other awards, we recently received several that were of great significance to us in the Main Street community. At the Main Street Iowa Awards this past month, we received 3 awards. Liz Fitzgerald, Treasurer and Market Coordinator, was named our Volunteer of the Year. The Streetscape Improvement Project was named the Top Public Improvement Project, and the Historic Park Inn was named a Signature Project for Main Street, Iowa. The Signature Project category was created because of the Park Inn and will be given in future years when a project of similar defining magnitude is completed. In other Main Street, Iowa news, we would like to inform you that Jane Seaton, the former director of Main Street, Iowa, who many of you have worked with, retired in February. And Michael Wagler, a Main Street design consultant who has done significant work in Mason City, has been named her replacement. Also, the annual Downtown Summit will be held this year in Keokuk, Iowa, on August 21st and 22nd. This is a great opportunity to learn from experts and from others who have sat in our seats on how to make our downtown the greatest destination it can be, and we invite all of you to join us. We are also hosting a volunteer orientation and information session on June 2nd at the North Iowa Regional Commerce Center that we would also like to invite you and the entire community to. Thank you again for your time tonight and your continued support of Main Street.
Thank you very much.
Any questions, you can direct them to Marty.
We'll see you guys. Council, questions, comments for Ms. Barrett? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Oh, Mr. Kuhn.
Not a question. Yeah. Thank you very much for that report. I'll say before Mr. Lee says it that so many great things in this community happen because of volunteers, and I think it's great to see volunteer board members that give him the report and covering for Marty when he's not ready. But I do have a question for Mr. Garrett. On the facade project, I know there's a meeting coming up on Thursday, but can you talk a little bit about the communication plan for business owners that will be part of those 14 properties? I know it'll be much less invasive than our streetscape, obviously, but I think that's a concern for people coming up, and just hope you can explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so the concern with business accessibility was very much front in everybody's minds. Obviously, as soon as we started these conversations about the facade program, we didn't want to see another repeat of front and back doors closed at the same time or anything like that. The main component of that is increased communication the whole way. We're treating each of these projects as individual projects so that every property owner makes decisions on their own property one at a time. Berglund and Cram is very conscientious of the issue. And when we do submit RFIs for our contractors, that's going to be a very large component of who we select. They'll have to demonstrate how they plan on individually doing that. Additionally, part of the funding for this project was directed towards Main Street Mason City for project administration. We intend on using a portion of that. Some other for this sort of remediation. Some of the things that other communities did with their streetscapes and other things was simple things like giving all the construction workers t-shirts that say, yes, our business is open, asking for help. One of the communities, Belle Plaine, did that, and they said they had a 50% growth in business, business rate immediately, that people felt that much more comfortable asking. So these are the sort of things that we learned from being a Main Street community. Continuing to have events regardless of the scaffolding being up or anything. This is scaffolding, not streets being removed. It's pretty easy to lift work up 10 feet and let things go on underneath. If you spend any time in Des Moines, Chicago, Minneapolis, you're going to see that every day. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kuhn. Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Barrett. Go ahead.
She was not
that comment.
she was not replacing me. We just, like you said, feel it's important for our volunteers to get engaged. And I just didn't dress up because I was working hard today, and it's really
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. We appreciate it very much. Well, now is the time for public forum. Mayor and council welcome comments from the public on agenda items only. And you're asked to give your name, address, and agenda item, and you'll have 5 minutes to comment. So clock right up in front of the podium. Well, seeing none, we will close the public forum, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Now we will read that first. Number 5, minutes, regular minutes of May 1st, 2012, special minutes closed, minutes of May 8th, 2012. Claims dated May 3rd, 10th, 2012, 7 unaudited, financial report, 8 permits, 9, mayor recommending approval of appointment of Lynn Broderson to the ZBA and Steve Davis to the Environmental Stewardship Advisory Commission. 10, administrator recommending approval of appointment of William Clausen as heavy equipment sewer crew lead worker. 11, administrator recommending approval of appointment hire Scott Wilson as street maintenance worker. 12, administrator recommending approval of appointment hire Brent Wymore as tree maintenance foreman. Number 13, administrator recommending approval of authorization to seek RFPs for architectural firms for the design of the first floor remodeling project. 14, administrator recommending approval of resolution authorizing notice to bidders, fixing amount of bid security, and ordering the clerk to publish notice of fixing a date for receiving same, and for a public hearing on plan specification, formal contract, and estimate of cost for construction of 12th Street Northwest overpass, bridge approach, and MSE wall repairs project. 15, administrator recommending approval resolution approving the purchase of a 2012 Ford E350 Type 2 ambulance from Foster Coach Sales, Inc. of Sterling, Illinois. 16, administrator recommending approval resolution accepting work and ordering payment for construction of the East Park Van Shell exterior restoration project. Number 17, administrator recommending approval resolution approving an encroachment permit for the Historic Park Inn, 15 West Street, State Street, for a public right-of-way for an outdoor service area. Number 18, administrator recommending approval resolution award of contract number 2012-D-01 to Summit Enviro Solutions, Inc. of St. Paul, Minnesota for the Forest Park Neighborhood Historic Survey and 1 or more nominations National Register of Historic Places in conjunction with the HMGB funded buyout. Council, do you have any items that you would like to pull? Excuse me?
Number 9, please.
Hands? All right. Chair will consider a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of number 9.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very kindly. Clerk, call the roll.
Morenas,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Tornquist,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Kuhn.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you very kindly. Mr. Kuhn, Mayor recommending approval appointment of Lynn Brewers for the ZBA and Charles Stephen Davis to the Environmental Stewardship Advisory Commission. Mr. Kuhn, do you have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Kuhn?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick one to recognize some of these members who are stepping up on the boards and commissions when we have vacancies. Also want to say thank you, as I am now on the Environmental Stewardship Advisory Commission, a thank you to Carol Patnode and Mary Schultz, who turned in their resignation letters recently because of time commitments. In my 5 months, it was a pleasure to work with them, and we were a little nervous about filling those spots, but we had 2 people fill in right away, and one here on the agenda tonight, Stephen Davis, who's the marketing director at Mercy Medical Center. I think will be a great fit with our tying in of ESAC sustainability and being selected as a Blue Zone committee with his expertise and ability to get the word out to people in our community about preventative care, living in a livable spaces, and some of those things that Mr. Willett talked about. When people are looking, site selectors are looking for a community, there's obviously the financial decisions. They're number one, but having a place to live in our community that is quality of life, preventative care, and all the different things we can do with Blue Zone. So I think he's a great fit for the commission. I'm glad he applied, and urge approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Anybody else? All right, we've got a motion and a second. Clerk call the roll.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Marinus,
Yes.
Tornquist.
Yes.
Thank you very much, council. It's much appreciated. Number 19, Administrator recommending approval resolution amending the budget for fiscal year ending June 30, 2012, City of Mason City, Iowa. Now is the time for public hearing. If you have comments you would like to make regarding this item, please come to the podium, state your name and address. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll read the motion again, and then we'll have to take a motion. Administrator recommending approval resolution amending the budget for fiscal year ending June 30, 2012, City of Mason City, Iowa. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you much. Mr. Turnquist? Ms. Marinus?
No comment.
Anybody else? Mr. Hickey?
I got couple quick questions. Under cash reserves, are we going to use lost to cover the cash reserves part of it?
That was the discussion that Kevin and I had. Mr. Jacobs and I discussed that. The revenues have been significantly greater than expected there, and so that works well with covering the issues that we had with a couple of the additional items for expenses.
Okay. Under cash reserves, on that segment there, I got one question, and maybe Mr. Buffington can answer that one. On a place where we have unemployment, do we challenge that unemployment, or do we just automatically pay that out?
We challenge
that depend on
it would depend on the issue specifically, but if there is any type of issue relative to unemployment as to whether we feel is not deemed that should be paid, we challenge. And most of those is the case we're in a situation we will challenge those. And we have one or two. It's pretty rare. It's very tough to win an unemployment case.
Okay. Under X, for patients for transported to other medical facilities. Now on that, wouldn't that be something we would charge out for and get reimbursed on?
Yes, but you have to raise the expense along with the revenue that goes up. So even though we do have to raise that, we have to raise, the additional revenue comes in, but the expense number has to be raised in order to be in line with the budget in the act. Sorry. I mean, that's the issue that we have, is even though the revenues are there, the bottom line with the way we do our budgeting, we have to raise the expense and change that number also at the same time.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hickey. Anybody else down here? Anybody else over here? All right. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Tornquist,
Yes.
Marinus,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Silver.
Yes.
Thank you very much, council. Thank you, staff. Number 20, Administrator recommending approval. Ordinance amending the city code by repealing Title 6, Chapter 1, Public Utilities, Article A, Water Rates, Section 1, Rates and Charges Established, subsections A and B in their entirety, and adopting new subsections A and B, and in lieu thereof to establish new water rates and charges. This is on first. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Hickey?
No comment.
Mr. Lee? No comment. Anybody else? Ms. Silver?
Just quickly here, we've identified 5 different projects for this increase.
Right.
What are we looking at on the Hoover Tower?
It is there is some cleaning that needs to be done and they're repainting the tower. And beyond that, I guess, Mark, if you have any other things you would add relative to
This
more
is Mr.
details,
Ram, the city
that's
engineer.
the basics, but he can give you more details.
Just briefly, a couple years ago, we had a study done on the Hoover Tower as well as the South Federal Avenue Tower, and there is, at the Hoover Tower, as Mr. Trout has identified, there is cleaning and repainting the outside, and there's also some interior work that needs to be some rewelding, some grinding, and then repainting the interior as well. So.
Is the South Federal Tower renovation the same?
No, that's actually going to be a replacement.
Replacement, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ram. Anybody else? All right, we have a motion and a second. This is on first reading. Clerk call.
Hickey,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Tornquist,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Morenas.
Yes.
Thank you very much, council. Number 21, administrator recommending approval ordinance amending the city code by repealing Title IX, Chapter 4, speed regulations, Section 1, Oh, yeah, you're right. We'll do B. My apologies, folks. Administrator recommending approval B, which is the back end of this ordinance amending the city code by repealing Title 4, Chapter 2, garbage and refuse, recyclables and yard waste, Article C, solid waste, subsection 12, relating to charges and adopting a new subsection 12. And this is on first. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Ms. Morenas?
No comment.
Mr. Keenan?
No problem.
Anybody else? All right. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second for call roll.
Morenas,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Tornquist,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Hickey.
Yes.
Thank you very much, council. Number 21, administrator recommending approval ordinance amending the city code by repealing Title IX, Chapter 4, speed regulations, Section 1, speed restrictions, and adopting a new Section 1. And this is on first. Do you have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Solberg. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kuhn. Ms. Solberg?
This is in regards to 19th Street Southwest between South Taft and South Federal. And it's just adjusting some of the speeds in through there because it just seemed to me like they were a little bit low and everybody was going way over them anyway. Is it really true that the bridge is only set up for 30 miles an hour? Because I was informed by someone that was working on that project that it was set up for 35. Or are we setting it at 30 because we know that people might go that extra 5 miles per hour?
The bridge is actually designed for 30 mile an hour. Because of the restraints that we had with South Pierce and the new South Polk Avenue into the IWF facility, because of the short restraints and the 8% on the bridge, it was designed for 30, and if it were to be an underpass, I believe we were looking at 45, then it could have been used as, I think 45 was the speed limit at the time, but that is actually the design speed.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ram. Thank you, Ms. Solberg. Anybody else? Mr. Keenan, anybody give us a second? Anybody else? All right. Well, we have a motion to approve and a second. Clerk call roll.
Solberg,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Morenas,
Yes.
Tornquist,
Yes.
Hickey,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Thank you very much, council. Thank you, staff. Seeing no other items on the agenda, we are adjourned. Nope, we'll be adjourned. Public listening closed will be in just a few minutes. Thank you.